With Pokken Tournament DX coming out in just a bit under a month and a brand new demo to play, there is much to be excited about for this adventure we're about to embark on the Nintendo Switch. Now the question on everyone's mind is, are we getting DLC, since we really only have one brand new character other than the ones coming over from the arcade version. So are we gonna get DLC? Well, looking at Nintendo's other games like Splatoon 2, ARMS, and of course Breath of the Wild, we can see Nintendo have been supplying their games with free DLC after they launch. So Pokken Tournament DX should be no different. DLC or not, there are still many new features and exciting things to look forward to in Pokken Tournament DX, but I do think we will be getting DLC. So because of that, here is my top 10 Pokemon for Pokken Tournament DX DLC. Number 10 is Gliscor, another Sinnoh representative that I think would work really well. If you take a look at our roster, we really only have Charizard for flying type Pokemon, so I think that Gliscor would make a really great flying type and would also make up for the lack of ground types. This would also bring a lot of attention towards him since he really hasn't been in the spotlight for a while. Now we may have a lot of Gen 4 Pokemon, so I really wouldn't say that we would get any more, although I would love more Sinnoh Pokemon. That's why he's at number 10, but I still would think that a combination of his pincers, his wings, and his scorpion tail will make for a great battling style along with some ground type moves, maybe some sonic waves, and some more aerial aces of course. He would be like the perfect blend of Charizard for flying type, Caesar for his pincers, and Garchomp's ground type moves. Of course that includes some of the most overpowered characters in the game, but you know, I'm sure they can get around that. In our list at number 9 is Hitmontop. When Pokken first came out, I was pretty shocked to see that neither Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee actually made it in. But maybe they're saving them for something better, which would be Hitmontop. Hitmontop is one of those nostalgic Pokemon that never really got the fame it deserved. It was kinda just overshadowed by all the other cool evolutions. After all the years, now is finally Hitmontop's chance to shine. Hitmontop could offer one of the most unique gameplay styles in any type of fighting game. With a cross between punches, kicks, and of course spitting on his top, I think that he would be a really great character and they could really go wild with the creativity on how they can make his moveset work. If he does make it in, please make his Carlton dance his victory poses. That would be hilarious. Making our list at number 8 is Samurott. For Pokken on the Wii U, unfortunately there was only one Pokemon representing Unova. That was a real shame since Unova has such a diverse cast and I think they could really spruce up the roster this time with DLC. The lack of a secondary typing really lessened how many people used it since it wasn't that useful, but maybe putting it in the Pokken Tournament can make its popularity rise and more people can be using it in the future. Its design translates very well within Pokken's gameplay design, as it has two swords on both of its legs. Samurott's design almost seems like it was made for Pokken, as he has dual-wielding swords that he can utilize to unleash a flurry of blade attacks and also combos with his horn and shell. But the biggest problem that stands in our way is actually another character, which is Empoleon, who has a very similar moveset to Samurott. Both of them would utilize blades on both sides of their hands, except that they would use them both very differently. I don't think that it's too different to constitute a new character, not to mention that they're both water type starters. So unfortunately it might not happen, but if Pikachu Libre can happen, then hey, so can they. Making our list at number 7 is Firaligatr, yet again another water type starter Pokemon, but nonetheless I think he could differentiate from Empoleon and have a great and unique set of moves. Firaligatr could focus his weak attacks on his claws and strong jaw bites. He could bring a very new and fresh kind of moveset by being like an alligator and staying beneath the water or beneath the stage. Perhaps he could have a set of moves that put him beneath the stage for setup or sneak attacks. He could also use his spikes on his back to deal some great damage. He would be a heavy fighter on the floor, but underneath the water he would have great mobility. Of course, he would only be able to use this ability in very few moves, and he couldn't stay there for the entirety of the battle. That would just be overpowered. Think when Hitmontop uses Dig, but except that it's with water. For number 6 we have Lycanroc. Lycanroc would be a great fit, not only because it would be another Alolan Pokemon, but it could also advertise Ultra Sun and Moon. Perhaps the DLC could come out on the same day as Ultra Sun and Moon, and Dusk form could be his burst attack to further advertise it. Out of the two, I'd say midday form would be the one chosen, mostly because the fighting style would be much more intricate. Lycanroc could lunge and use many claw attacks, but I think it would really shine when summoning rocks from beneath the ground to deal some extra damage. Doing this would separate him from the other four-legged creature being Suicune. Lycanroc's also shaping up to be one of the most popular Pokemon of Generation 7, so I think his inclusion in Pokken Tournament would be much appreciated by all fans. We made it to the top 5, and making it at number 5 is Gallade. Gallade is one of my favorite Pokemon, and I think he would work super well here. His Psychic and Fighting type opens the door for many possible moves. Alongside that, he also has blades on his arms, making way for many opportunities there. Gallade could use Psycho Wave for his range attacks and Close Combat for his melee attacks. He would also utilize his Mega Evolution for his burst attack, which would be incredible. Gallade's inclusion would also complement Gardevoir very well. It would always be interesting to see the two enter the fray to see which one will come out on top. Overall, I think Gallade is a really standout inclusion for the Pokken DLC, and I really hope he makes it. Making our list at number 4 is Heliolisk. Heliolisk has a great design that would work very well in Pokken. He could summon electricity and thunderbolts to the battlefield and create some massive chaos for the opponent. I would love to see Heliolisk maneuver in full HD, especially when it puts its frills up and attacks. This Pokemon is so full of life, and adding it to Pokken seems like a no-brainer. We only got 2 Pokemon from Kalos last time, unless you're not counting Pikachu Libre, which would make Pokken have only 1 Kalos Pokemon. Heliolisk popping up would be a great addition to represent Kalos, and that is why Heliolisk comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Infernape, another one of my favorite Pokemon that just so happens to fit in perfectly with Pokken. Honestly, it's heartbreaking to see Infernape hasn't made it into Pokken since it would work so well. His design complements the atmosphere of the game perfectly, and to see an HD Infernape battling it out on the Nintendo Switch would be incredible. Just imagine how amazing the fire on his head would look like. You guys need to see what I'm thinking of right now in my head, because I'm picturing it and it looks awesome. An acrobatic fire monkey fighter sounds perfect for a game like this, so here's the hoping for DLC. And for number 2 is Deoxys. A perfect Deoxys fighter could somehow utilize all of its separate forms in one moveset. Certain moves could be timed to one form, and since they are also similar, everything would flow smoothly. This would be the base Deoxys, and when using certain moves, Deoxys would change form. Of course, this would take a lot of time and effort, and it would be a real challenge to properly make a moveset incorporating all of Deoxys' forms. But if they pulled it off, it surely would be something very special. We're almost to number 1, but here are some honorable mentions. Victini. Victini almost made the list, but I just think he's too small to fit for Pokken. Nidoking. Nidoking is really awesome, but he's too clunky and it wouldn't really fit Poken's gameplay. Zoroark. Zoroark almost made it, but I think he's a bit repetitive. They have Lucario and Mewtwo, and especially with my list, he kind of repeats a lot of the same attack styles. Absol. Absol was number 11. I think he would fit very well, but there wasn't enough space. Electivire. Electivire is sort of the angry electric tank that is kind of like a Blanca sort of character. I mean, not that I would know, I've never played Street Fighter, but I assume, based off of the gameplay I've seen, that he would work a lot like him, so I think that would work very well. And lastly, Ampharos. Ampharos technically is on this list, except that I replaced him with very similarly Heliolisk to represent Kalos, since there's so little Pokemon from Kalos in Pokken. Now that we've gotten honorable mentions out of the way, let's do a recap of the entire list. Number 10, Gliscor. Number 9, Hitmontop. Number 8, Samurott. Number 7, Firaligatr. Number 6, Lycanroc. Number 5, Gallade. Number 4, Heliolisk. Number 3, Infernape. Number 2, Deoxys. Making our list at number 1 is the Alolan Generation 7 Pokemon Salazzle. Salazzle was one of the coolest Pokemon from Generation 7. I think it will work perfectly. Take a second to imagine how awesome it would be to run into this thing while we're playing Pokken. If you can't really picture it, here is a picture of Salazzle's GX that perfectly represents how she would look in Pokken, and it looks so awesome. It would just be so cool to actually play as this character. To not only run into this Pokemon, but also play as this Pokemon in full HD 3D on the Nintendo Switch would just be awesome. So hopefully they can do it for DLC to not only add to the roster, but also to represent Generation 7 and Alola more, since, you know, they only have Decidueye. So I think that Salazzle would be a great pick. Alright guys, that's all I got for my list, but tell me what you thought of it. What Pokemon would you like to see as DLC, or do you think that there will be DLC at all? Let me know, I'd love to know. Subscribe if you enjoy this video, since I do weekly videos on Pokemon, Kingdom Hearts, and sometimes I do some other stuff. So stay tuned for more, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.